Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Hulk Classics Mecha Hulk figure. This guy is a super cool figure. He's pretty gigantic, he's pretty heavy, and he's loaded with details. He stands about 8 inches tall to the top of his head if I straightened out his legs. So he's pretty tall, he's really broad, about 6.5 inches across at the shoulders, and he's got, like I said, he's got a lot of detail, but he's also got some nice little features. One is that he has opening chest panels that have XMC Archangel style missiles. They're just this little springy type things. Those can stick in there. This one doesn't stay shut on the one side because it doesn't snap in place, but no big deal. And in the back, you open up the back and he has a little gremlin figure inside. The head is articulated, the shoulders have cut joints, and so do the hips. So it's a nice little figure. Pretty good paintwork on it. I have to say the sculpt and paintwork is pretty impressive for a little guy like that. He's only about 1.25 inches tall. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 inches tall. Brain fart. But pretty cool. He can just tuck away in that compartment in the back. There's really no chair or anything for him, but he just sits in there. All of the green parts have a nice silver dry brush on top of them to make them look worn. The silver parts have black bits on them. Every part of him looks worn, especially the fists. Just a really sharp looking figure. Really cool details in the paint and the sculpt. The neck has these little piston things that are connected to them to make it look better, and they do articulate. We'll show you that in a second. The hips have these tubes there. There's tubes for the elbows and a piston in each elbow. So lots of cool little details like that. The sculpt on the head is really nice. It doesn't have the best range of motion for the head, either that or it's just stuck. It looks up and down just fine, and as you can see the pistons move with it, so that's really cool. Side to side, we have not much. So I'm thinking it's just stuck, to be honest, but I'm not going to force it because it's not that big of a deal. He's got gigantic ball hinge shoulders, which make it look cool no matter how you pose it really. It doesn't look like a piece of articulation. He's got a bicep swivel right there, with also it's gigantic. He's got these nice big elbow joints. They don't have a huge range of motion, but the pistons do work, so that's really cool looking. He's got a wrist swivel, a wrist pivot. That one's frozen. So he's got a wrist pivot. Again, it's really big, so being big actually hides the articulation on this guy. He's got a thumb pivot. The fingers are all together, but there's a big knuckle pivot there and a second knuckle pivot. So you can give him a karate chop hand or put it down into a really nice fist. So that's cool. He has a diaphragm joint. It's really just a waist twist though, so that's okay by me. You don't need an ab crunch for a guy this big. His T-jointed hips, so full range of motion there. These tubes don't get in the way at all. There's a thigh swivel, a knee pivot. It kind of tucks in underneath that thigh armor, which is supposed to be pushed in farther. It pops out sometimes, no big deal. So single jointed knee. The cool thing about the knee is these little thruster things are individually articulated. So that's a nice little detail they didn't have to include, but they did. The feet have a pivot and a swivel. Actually, there's a swivel in the shin and in the foot, and there's an ankle rocker and a toe pivot. So really loaded with articulation, cool sculpt, cool everything about this guy. I'd say everybody should have him in their collection if he wasn't so expensive, but even though he is, you probably still should pick one up if you can. So there it is, really cool figure. Thanks for watching guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, more custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.